What is up, homies? My name is Felix, and today I am bringing you another LMMS video. Today in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use effects and this effects mixer right here, and how to put effects on your drums or your sound plugins or your instruments or whatever it might be. I'm going to show you just like some basic ones today, and then I'm going to show you how to work this thing right here. So yeah, but however, before we get into the video, I want to say that I have a new song that's out now produced by me. The song is by Santana, and it sounds like this.
Why, oh why can I seem to find you? I'm burning up inside, I need you by my side.
Personally, I think the song's really good, and I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can go check it out if you want to. Also, I'll leave a link in the description to all the playlists of songs I've produced, so you can go listen to those songs as well, along with my Instagram and SoundCloud and all that stuff too. But yeah, now let's get into the video. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a plugin and just make a simple little chord progression that I can use just as an example. Okay, so I pulled in Sonatina Orchestra, you know, the classic that I use in a lot of my videos. And basically for this video, the two main tabs that you're going to be using are the mixer and the beat and bass sound editor. So keep these open and you can pretty much just X out of everything else. So I'm going to make a quick little chord progression here just to use it as an example. Okay, so I made a quick little melody with the harp in Sonatina Orchestra, and it sounds like this. And this is what I'm going to be using as the example for most of the effects and stuff today. So the way that you're going to put this into an effects mixer is you're going to go here, add one of these, and now you have one of these. This is going to be separate from this one right here because this is your master, and your master is basically what all the effects from the other ones go into and what all the sound basically plays out of. But you can choose individual ones for certain things to play out of. So if you want to assign everything to its own mixer, this is essentially what I do in FL Studio, is I have each and every different instrument assigned to its own mixer track so that I can adjust the volume there, and I can put effects on it and do what I need to do with it. So yeah, but yeah, basically you add one of these and then you go here and you click on the plugin and you assign it to whichever one you just created or whichever one you want it to be. And now if you want, you can rename this and call it harp so that you know what is attached to this mixer. And now what we can do is we can close out of these and focus right here. So basically now I'm going to start showing you guys some different effects that you can use. So the first one is an EQ, and EQing can kind of be sort of a complicated thing, but I'm going to show you guys kind of the ins and outs. So kind of the good and bad thing of LMMS is that there is a lot of plugins to choose from when you search EQ, or if you search Reverb, there's different ones. But what we're going to use is we're going to use this one right here that just says equalizer, and this one is a visual EQ, so you can see where the frequencies are when the sound is playing, and I'll show you right now. Actually, we do need this open so I can play it. As you can see, you see where the frequencies are at, and farther to the left means it's lower pitched, and farther to the right means it's higher pitched. But this right here is kind of sitting right around the mid frequency, as you could tell. But what we're going to do is we're going to change these little numbers here. As you can see, they kind of curve at the end and stuff. So let's say we want a low pass filter on this. A low pass basically cuts out the highs and allows the lows to pass through. So what we're going to do is we're just going to drag this over. And as you can hear, now the high end is pretty cut out from this harp. And the same would apply if we wanted a high pass filter. We would do the same thing but on the other side. And a high pass is the same as a low pass, except for it lets the highs pass through and cuts out the lows. As you can hear, now it kind of sounds like it's playing through a telephone or like some bad headphones. And now what we can do is we can combine both of them and make a band pass filter, which basically cuts out the high and low end and leaves the middle frequencies. As you can hear, it's kind of stale. There's no low end bass or there's no high end. So yeah, basically that's how you do that. And then with these, so this one is number 1. If we do this, we put the resonance up, it makes this go higher. And then if we put the frequency down, this just adjusts where it's at. But if we turn the resonance down, this will go lower, and it'll make this kind of a less steep curve here. But what you can also do is you can use the other numbers to adjust where this one right here is at, or whichever other number you might choose. But right now it doesn't really do much, it just cuts out certain frequencies, which this is good if you have a specific frequency that you don't like. Like let's say you have like a guitar sample that you recorded and there's like some ringing or like buzzing noise, you can cut it out by doing this and by turning this down, and this will cut out like very specific frequencies. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn this way up so that it affects like everything, as you can see. And now we can bring this whole piece right here, this whole one, down a lot. So basically the other parts of the EQ, the other numbers, will affect each other. So yeah, basically that's how you use an EQ, and this is the EQ that I would recommend you guys use. The one that I used for a really long time was this one right here, this 10-band equalizer. And basically the way this one works is these are the higher frequencies and these are the lower frequencies. So if you cut these out, that right there is basically a high pass filter. As you can hear, it's cutting out the bass. But if we go in and do another one, now if I do this, this will be a low pass filter. And so yeah, it's not too complicated, but it's not as visual as the other one, so I recommend using the other one for sure. Basically the main thing that you would do with an equalizer, for me at least, is just cut out the low end. So I would basically just go like this. And you do that so that the 808 and your melody doesn't clash with each other, because if there's too much low end in your melody, it's going to mess up your 808 and make it sound really muddy. So that's usually what I would use that for. But yeah, now I'm going to move on to another effect plugin, and this one is just some standard reverb. And there's different ones you can use, but this is the one I have always used, this calf reverb. So basically a lot of these knobs are pretty self-explanatory. If you turn up the room size, it makes it sound like it's in like a big like cathedral or something. As you can hear. And then if you turn up the decay time, it just makes the reverb last a lot longer. As you can hear, it's still going even when I stop the melody from playing. Then really the only other things you're going to use are the wet amount and the dry amount. The wet amount basically just makes it sound more, it kind of like it gives the reverb more reverb. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it does, you know, what you can hear. And then the dry amount basically does that. So yeah, basically that's how you use the reverb. It's not too complicated. The only ones you're going to use are like these four right here. And you can mess around with the other ones obviously as well. If you mess around with the other ones as well, it'll give you different effects and stuff. Anyways, now I'm going to move on to another plugin, and this one I've actually used in a video before. I used this one in my lo-fi video, but this one is just a good plugin to take note of and keep on hand. Basically, this will make anything you put it on sound really wide in your headphones. So if you don't have headphones on right now, you're not going to be able to hear this probably, but it might make a little bit of a difference. So yeah, basically that just adjusts how far into your headphones that sound is going to go, and that's a pretty useful tool as well. I'm going to get rid of it because this is making it sound very big. But yeah, so the next one that I'm going to talk about is this Bit Crush right here. So basically this Bit Crush plugin is really good for lo-fi because you can give it kind of some noise. This will probably be good to put on like a piano, like a lo-fi piano or something, just to give it a little bit of like crispy kind of noisiness. And basically the Bit Crush, what it does is kind of just like destroys your sound a little bit. But if you adjust with these, it can just make the melody sound really low quality, and for, you know, maybe lo-fi stuff, you might want that. But if you do this, one thing I would recommend doing is taking this EQ and cutting out some of the high end. So it's not like totally destroying your ears by having super high end, and I think that might sound really good, you know, for some lo-fi tracks and stuff like that. But for this one, I'm gonna get rid of it so it doesn't, you know, clog up our stuff too much. Okay, so moving on, the next plugin that I'm gonna show you guys is a delay plugin. And there's one that is in LMMS, and it's kind of a visual one, but I don't really like this one. It's kind of weird. When I play it, you'll know kind of what I'm talking about. It has an LFO that kind of messes everything up. If you turn it all the way up, it'll kind of be normal, but then it has this little dot that you can adjust. And this one is okay, but it just, like, to me, does not give it the most perfect rhythm. The delay that I prefer to use is this Cav Vintage delay. And this one, if you turn this up, as you can hear, this adds a delay, but it has a delay with a better rhythm than the other one. This one kind of fits with the tempo instead of just being like kind of, you know, random. But yeah, basically, if you mess with these other knobs, you'll get other different effects. The stereo width obviously just makes it more stereo, or probably more mono this way. And then the dry amount does basically the same thing that the reverb dry amount does. And then mix mode, I don't really know what this does, but basically these right here will adjust the time in your right and left ear. So basically like panning. And if you adjust this tempo, it'll kind of adjust how fast or slow the delay is going, and it'll change the like rhythm that you have within that delay. But yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this for this one because that's pretty much it for the delay plugin. The next plugin that I'm going to show you guys, and for you people who like lo-fi, you're probably going to like this one. This one is a Vibrato plugin, and this one basically will give your like piano or melody or whatever kind of that wiggly sound that you hear in lo-fi sometimes, and it'll sound like this. And that plugin I think is really good for lo-fi stuff because it kind of gives you that warping effect that you want. But I'm going to delete this because I'm not doing lo-fi here. Now basically the only other two plugins that I would use for melodies and stuff are, if you look up chorus, you'll find a bunch of different chorus plugins, and probably this multi-chorus is good. And it gives it that kind of effect, as you can hear. And as you adjust these knobs, it'll give you different sounds. Doing that right there, turning on the amount in some of these knobs, will give it kind of a lighter effect than how like heavy it was at first. So basically the last plugin that I want to show you for melodies and stuff is, if you type in phaser, personally I wouldn't use this one, I would use this one right here because it's going to give you the effect that you want right away. As you can hear, it kind of sounds like it's like somebody like opening and closing their mouth a little bit. It gives you that like warbly effect, and as you adjust these different knobs, it'll give you, you know, different effects. Obviously that makes it kind of lighter. That right there gives it more kind of like delay, kind of more feedback. So yeah, that's pretty much like the basics of the plugins that I would use for melodies and stuff. So right now I'm going to go over to the master, and I'm going to show you basically two plugins that I would use on the master track, because on your master track you don't want to have a bunch of stuff because it's going to mess everything up. But I actually did this in another video of mine. Basically what I do is I'll put a hard limiter on here, and then I'll just set the decibel limit a little bit under 0, like just barely, and then you can just leave this how it is. And now what you can do is you can add, go to limiter, and then you can put in calf limiter or any of these other limiters as well. And then what we're going to do first is put this up, so right click and then move up, and now you can do the output. And it sounds really kind of distorted and muddy, but it's not going to go above the level of 0 decibels. As you can see there, it's not going into the red or anything, which is what you want. And the reason it does that is because the hard limiter is at the bottom. And this goes for all of these, whether it's effects 1, effects 2, or the master. Whatever is on the bottom is basically going to be like affecting everything above it. So basically, since this is on the bottom and this is in the middle, this equalizer is going to be cutting out the frequencies of this reverb. Whatever you set this to, the reverb is going to be included inside of here, since this reverb is at the top. And then, so naturally, since this is at the bottom, the effects of this phaser aren't going to be affected by this equalizer. But if I were to do this, now they would. So what I can do now is I can choose this equalizer and cut out these frequencies. Oh, there we go. So because I did that, the effects of the phaser and the effects of the reverb are going to be encompassed by this equalizer. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind, you know, the order of your plugins on each track. Normally, I would probably put the equalizer at the bottom, or, you know, maybe like in the middle if you want to have a reverb that goes after the equalizer, but that's totally up to you. It's totally up to you what order you put your plugins in, but it's just important to take note of it. But yeah, real quickly back to what I was doing on the master. This right here, since this hard limiter is at the bottom, nothing is going to go over 0 decibels. So we can put this as loud as we want, and it's still not going to go over 0 decibels. It's going to be loud, but it's not going to go over 0 decibels. But for the most part, what this does is just makes your track overall louder. But you want to be careful of, you know, having that muddy kind of sound. Right there, at least for this little melody, is good, but keep in mind that you're going to have drums and stuff too, so you might not even do this limiter at all. You just want to have maybe this hard limiter. But I would probably recommend always having this hard limiter on and setting it to a little bit under 0 decibels. But yeah, basically that's going to do it for this video. I hope I was able to help you guys out. I just wanted to make a little video for you guys going over all the plugins that you'll probably be using for your melodies or for your master track or whatever. So yeah, hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully you learned something. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you. Follow my Instagram right here. Follow my SoundCloud as well if you want to, and make sure to check out the playlist of songs I produced, all that stuff, yada yada yada, and I will see you guys next time.